February 14th, 1943. Sidi Bouzid, Tunisia. Lieutenant Hans Müller's hand trembled as he wrote in his combat journal words that would have seemed impossible just months earlier. American infantry destroyed Oberfeldwebel Schmidt's Panzer III today with a tube-fired rocket weapon, range approximately 100 meters, complete penetration, entire crew killed by ammunition explosion. We face a threat unlike anything encountered in Poland, France, or Russia. Through his periscope minutes earlier, Müller had witnessed the impossible. An American soldier, crouching in a shallow position, shouldered what appeared to be a simple metal pipe. The rocket's launch was barely audible. Then came the explosion that tore through 50 millimeters of armor plate as if it were tin. Schmidt's crew never escaped the inferno. German tank commanders had arrived in North Africa carrying 3 years of unbroken victories. Their Panzer IIIs mounted 50mm guns, proven against British armor. The newer Panzer IV carried 75mm weapons that had shattered Soviet tank formations on the Eastern Front. Frontal armor ranging from 50 to 80mm represented near immunity from infantry weapons. German doctrine taught that foot soldiers posed minimal threat to armor. Anti-tank rifles required 2 men to operate and barely penetrated 30mm under ideal conditions. Heavy weapons belonged to specialized units, not ordinary infantrymen. That assumption died in the Tunisian hills during winter 1943. The weapon Müller described seemed to violate fundamental principles of armored warfare. The M1 rocket launcher, adopted by the United States Army just 8 months earlier in June 1942, weighed only 13 pounds. A single soldier could carry and fire it alone. Its 60mm shaped charge warhead used the Monroe effect, focusing explosive energy into a superheated jet that burned through steel regardless of distance. German intelligence had dismissed early reports as propaganda. Infantrymen simply could not carry weapons capable of defeating modern tank armor. The weapon's combat debut during Operation Torch in November 1942 caught German forces completely unprepared. At Oran, Algeria, Obergefreiter Wilhelm Hartmann recorded the first documented encounter. Enemy soldier engaged our column with shoulder-fired rocket. Feldwebel Becker's tank struck on left hull. Complete armor failure with secondary explosion. Weapon appeared crude, but effect devastating. We withdrew to assess threat. What Hartmann described contradicted years of German tactical development, Wehrmacht doctrine, organized threats by lethality. Artillery topped the list, followed by enemy tanks, then towed anti-tank guns requiring trucks or horses for mobility. Infantry ranked last, armed only with grenades or satchel charges requiring suicidal close approaches. The bazooka inverted this carefully constructed hierarchy. Any American soldier in any foxhole might carry tank-killing capability equal to a 75mm gun. German technical intelligence responded with characteristic efficiency. Captured bazookas reached testing facilities in Germany by December 1942. Engineers marveled at the weapon's simplicity. A smoothbore steel tube with crude wire sights, battery ignition. Minimal training required. Yet it delivered sophisticated technology Germany had only recently perfected. Testing confirmed American claims. Against vertical armor, the M6 rocket punched through 76mm consistently. The 50mm side armor on Panzer IIIs offered no protection within 300 meters. Even Panzer IVs with 80mm frontal plates could be defeated with precise shots. Most alarmingly, the weapon required merely days of instruction for effective use. Germany had invested years developing its Panzerkampfwagen series, training elite crews, building sophisticated fire control systems. America had countered with mass-produced rockets and glorified pipes. The asymmetry was economically and psychologically devastating. Psychological impact emerged gradually through winter 1942-43. Gefreiter Kurt Zimmermann, gunner in the 15th Panzer Division, wrote in a letter intercepted by British intelligence. We felt invincible before. Steel walls protected us from rifles, grenades, light artillery. Now every window, every ditch, every rubble pile threatens death. Any American might carry our destruction on his shoulder. We no longer fight tank battles. we fight infantry who kill tanks. The mathematics of vulnerability became brutally clear during Tunisia's campaigns. By March 1943, each American infantry company deployed 3 bazooka teams. A full battalion fielded 9 launchers, creating overlapping kill zones. German armor, designed for maneuver warfare across open terrain, found itself channeled into predictable approaches where concealed teams waited in ambush. Blitzkrieg doctrine assumed rapid movement would overcome defensive positions. Bazookas required no movement to respond, only patience and courage. The Battle of Kasserine Pass in mid-February 1943 demonstrated both bazooka potential and American inexperience. The 168th Infantry Regiment received its first bazookas on February 12, just 2 days before German attacks began. Soldiers learned operation against actual panzers during combat, a baptism by fire that cost American forces dearly. Yet even green troops managed to destroy German armor with weapons they barely understood. Hauptmann Friedrich Bauer's after-action report noted tersely, "Infantry previously helpless against armor now poses lethal threat. All tactical doctrine requires immediate revision." Captured bazookas inspired immediate German response. By spring 1943, German ordnance developed the Raketenpanzerbüchse 54, nicknamed Panzerschreck, copying the American design but increasing warhead diameter to 88 mm provided superior armor defeat capability. This German improvement validated the bazooka's revolutionary concept while acknowledging America had fundamentally transformed infantry anti-tank capabilities practically overnight. July 1943 brought Sicily's invasion and the bazooka's first large-scale test in complex terrain. The island's mountains, narrow roads, and fortified towns created perfect ambush conditions. Oberleutnant Werner Fischer, commanding Panzer IV supporting the Hermann Göring Division, maintained detailed notes recovered after his August capture. July 12, Gala. 2 tanks lost to American tube weapons. Gefreiter Hahn's Panzer destroyed at 80 meters, advancing through olive groves. Crew abandoned, but Hahn wounded by secondary explosions. Unteroffizier Keller's tank struck through engine deck, passing beneath stone bridge. Americans concealed in bridge abutment, invisible from commander's position. Our infantry cleared area afterward, finding only empty firing positions and discarded tubes. Enemy vanishes after shooting. Fischer's account highlighted tactical revolution. German doctrine emphasized speed and firepower, expecting infantry support to clear anti-tank threats before armor arrived. Bazooka teams required minimal equipment and established firing positions within minutes. 2 men carrying a 13-pound launcher and 3 rockets could wait concealed in rubble, vegetation, or structures tanks could not effectively engage. After firing, they simply withdrew, leaving destroyed panzers and frustrated German infantry securing empty positions. Effectiveness stemmed not from technological sophistication but operational flexibility. The warhead maintained constant performance regardless of range. A shot from 50 meters hit identically to one from 300 meters, limited only by crude iron sights and operator skill. Bazooka teams could fire from minimum distances, catching German crews unprepared. Panzer vision devices, designed to scan for enemy tanks and towed guns, often missed crouching infantrymen amid visual clutter. German tankers developed countermeasures throughout Sicily. Oberfeldwebel Hans Braun, veteran commander with 15th Panzer Grenadier Division, compiled tactical guidelines circulated informally. Never advance without infantry scouts 50 meters forward. Suppress suspected positions with machine gun fire before approach. Maintain direct visual observation. Never button up completely. Avoid predictable routes through urban terrain. Request artillery preparation before entering built-up areas. Once bazooka fires, immediately withdraw behind cover while infantry clears position. Never attempt tank suppression alone. These tactics reduced losses but could not eliminate threats. September 19, 43's Salerno landings demonstrated bazooka maturation. American forces had trained extensively since Sicily. Teams now coordinated with infantry squads, combining suppressive rifle fire with precisely timed rocket shots. The 16th Panzer Division, ordered to throw American forces into the sea, lost over 30 tanks in 3 days. While German commanders attributed losses to naval gunfire and artillery, surviving tank crews told different stories. Feldwebel Otto Krebs, loader in a Panzer IV surviving Salerno, described evolving American tactics. They work in pairs now. One team fires, missing or hitting non-critical areas, drawing our attention. While we pivot to engage, second team shoots from flank or rear where armor weakest. Training taught us to fear enemy tanks on our flanks. Now we fear their infantry even more. The M9 Bazooka's arrival in late 1943 introduced further complications. The improved model disassembled into two 31-inch sections, far easier for airborne and regular infantry to transport. Magneto-ignition replaced notoriously unreliable batteries. The M6A3 rocket, with blunted nose preventing deflection off angled surfaces, could defeat up to 102 mm. Even Tiger I's side armor became vulnerable at typical combat ranges. Lieutenant Dieter Koch, Tiger commander with Heavy Tank Battalion 503 in Italy, recorded impressions in December 1943. Americans engage Tigers differently than medium panzers. They waste no rockets on frontal plates. Instead, infantry pins us while bazooka teams maneuver for side or rear shots. Today, Hauptmann Werner's Tiger fell to 3 rockets, fired sequentially. First, disabled drive sprocket, immobilizing the vehicle. Second hit, left hull, killing driver and radio operator. Third ensured total destruction. Crew escaped, but tank burned completely. Weight 62 tons. Cost countless resources and man-hours. Destroyed by Lay's MTs, infantrymen carrying less than 20 pounds total equipment. Psychological dimensions extended beyond armor, failure, fear. German crews had developed confidence through technical superiority. Tigers with 88mm guns killed enemy Shermans from ranges exceeding 2,000 meters. Panthers with sloped armor and powerful 75mm weapons dominated open battlefields. This advantage disappeared against bazookas. A 17-year-old American private with minimal training could destroy Germany's most advanced tank if he reached 100 meters. Range, the traditional salvation of superior firepower, meant nothing against enemies who hid and ambushed rather than fought openly. Italy's winter campaign from late 1943 through early 1944 transformed every German tanker's perception. Mountainous terrain, winter weather, and limited roads created endless ambush opportunities. Tanks became death traps in urban fighting where every corner might conceal a 2-man team. German armor, designed for blitzkrieg's sweeping movements, found itself reduced to supporting infantry in grinding attritional battles where mechanical superiority meant progressively less. Hauptmann Friedrich Bauer, operations officer for 4th Panzer Division in Italy, compiled revealing casualty statistics. November and December 1943 saw 23 tanks lost in combat. 12 fell to artillery and air attack. 8 were destroyed by bazookas. 3 were knocked out by enemy tanks. Infantry weapons accounted for more losses than enemy armor, completely inverting pre-war doctrine. Bauer's report to division headquarters concluded grimly. Americans have democratized anti-tank warfare. Every infantryman potentially kills tanks. We cannot operate in urban terrain without prohibitive casualties. Schürzen armor skirts appearing on German tanks in early 1944 represented direct response to rocket threats. These thin, metal plates mounted on Panzer IV sides created standoff distance between hull and incoming jets. While primarily designed against Soviet anti-tank rifles, they offered modest protection. The jet dissipated partially after burning through skirts, reducing main armor damage. But this admission rather than solution proved telling. Germany retrofitted tanks defending against weapons individual American soldiers carried. D-Day and Normandy's June 1944 campaign placed bazookas in their most target-rich environment. Bocage country's network of hedgerows, sunken roads, and small villages created thousands of natural ambush positions. German panzer units, already weakened by Eastern Front attrition, faced American infantry divisions lavishly equipped with bazookas. Each company's 3 launchers, multiplied across divisions, created anti-tank firepower density unprecedented in military history. Oberleutnant Karl Hartmann of 2nd Panzer Division described Normandy operations in a letter written before his July death. We advance perhaps 50 metres, then bazookas fire from hedgerows on both flanks. In open terrain we could manoeuvre, bring superior gunnery to bear. Here we box in lanes with no manoeuvre room and no clear sight lines beyond 70 metres. Our infantry cannot keep pace with armour in this terrain, leaving tanks exposed at every intersection. Yesterday 5 panzers lost covering 2 kilometres, not to enemy tanks or artillery, but to infantrymen we never saw until after they fired. This is not warfare, this is systematic destruction. Bazooka effectiveness in Normandy stemmed from perfect matching of weapon capabilities with terrain. The M9's maximum effective range of 300 metres exceeded typical bocage engagement distances. American infantry positioned teams at bottlenecks, forcing German armour into kill zones where multiple launchers covered every approach. Tank commanders, required to button up under constant rifle and machine gunfire, lost situational awareness necessary to spot concealed threats. By the time they detected muzzle smoke or heard rocket motors, armour failure was often inevitable. German after-action reports from Normandy read like frustration litanies. Panzer Lehr Division lost over 20 tanks in the first 2 weeks, half to bazookas and infantry anti-tank weapons. The 12th SS Panzer Division reported similar losses. Even elite units with newest Panthers and Tigers found themselves vulnerable in close terrain. Disparity between theoretical and practical combat effectiveness grew starker with each engagement. On paper, German armour remained superior. In Normandy's killing fields, American infantrymen with tube launchers rewrote armoured warfare mathematics. The Battle of the Bulge in December 1944 demonstrated both bazooka limitations and devastating effectiveness when properly employed. In open terrain during initial German assault, Panthers and Tigers achieved local superiority, overrunning American positions too quickly for effective bazooka engagement. But as the offensive stalled and fighting shifted to towns like Bastogne, balance reversed. American paratroopers of the 101st Airborne Division used bazookas devastatingly in urban defense. German armor, forced onto predictable streets and unable to maneuver, suffered heavy losses. Unteroffizier Werner Schmidt, Panther commander in 9th SS Panzer Division, survived Bastogne, fighting only to be captured in January 1945. His interrogation transcript revealed German tactical thinking evolution. We know Americans have bazookas. We know every building might hide a team, but there is no effective counter in built-up areas. We fire machine guns until barrels glow. We call artillery on every suspected position. We advance with infantry screening. Still, they hit us. The American tube weapon gives every soldier capability to destroy our most powerful tanks if he has courage to wait until we close to 100 meters. That courage, combined with their inexhaustible equipment supply, makes defeat inevitable. Schmidt's assessment captured broader significance beyond tactical considerations. Germany's war economy, strained by multi-front conflict and Allied bombing, could not replace tanks at anything approaching American production rates. Every panzer destroyed by a 13-pound rocket launcher represented dozens of man-hours, hundreds of tons of steel, and irreplaceable manufacturing capacity. America, with vast industrial base, produced bazookas by hundreds of thousands. The asymmetry was economically as well as militarily devastating. War's final months saw German armour reduced to desperate defensive operations against overwhelming Allied superiority. Bazooka-equipped American infantry advanced alongside tank destroyers, artillery, and tactical air power, creating combined arms teams against which German panzers had no answer. The weapon German tankers, first encountered with surprise and alarm in Tunisia, had become omnipresent combat fact, a persistent threat emerging from any concealed position at any moment. Oberst Heinrich Müller, captured in April 1945 while commanding remnants of 21st Panzer Division, provided historians perhaps the most complete assessment. The American bazooka did not win the war. American industrial capacity, manpower, and military competence would have achieved victory regardless. But the bazooka altered armoured warfare character fundamentally. It made our tanks vulnerable to their infantry in ways we never imagined in 1939. It forced tactical adaptations that slowed our operations and increased our casualties. Most significantly, it demonstrated American capacity for innovation and rapid deployment of effective weapons systems. We developed Panzerschreck in response, but they had already fielded a weapon that changed battlefield dynamics while our general staff was still evaluating captured samples. The bazooka's impact extended beyond immediate tactical effects. German tank crews surviving the war carried psychological scars different from earlier conflicts. Eastern Front veterans spoke of T-34 waves overwhelming through sheer numbers. Western Front veterans spoke of grinding attritional warfare where any advance might end with rocket jets burning through armor from unseen enemies. The invincibility German tankers felt in 1940 and 41 died permanently in Normandy's hedgerows and Italian town streets, killed by soldiers carrying glorified tubes on their shoulders. Statistical analysis reveals the weapon's strategic significance. German forces on the Western Front lost approximately 3,500 tanks from June 1944 through May 1945. While artillery, air attack, and enemy armor accounted for majority kills, bazookas and other infantry anti-tank weapons destroyed an estimated 20 to 30%. In urban and close terrain where bazookas were most effective, that percentage increased dramatically. Each tank destroyed by a weapon costing approximately $30 in 1944 prices represented catastrophic return on investment for Germany's overstretched war economy. The bazooka's rapid development and deployment illustrated contrasts between American and German military innovation. Germany began the war with technological edge in armor, having pioneered blitzkrieg tactics and designed purpose-built tanks for mechanized warfare. But German decision-making processes, complicated by Hitler's interference and inter-service rivalries, slowed adaptation to changing battlefield conditions. America, joining the war later and learning from Allied experience, moved with remarkable speed from concept to mass production. The bazooka went from demonstration in spring 1942 to combat deployment by November, a 7-month cycle impossible in German military bureaucracy. The weapon's simplicity enabled rapid deployment. Unlike German engineering culture's preference for sophisticated, precision-manufactured systems, the bazooka embraced crude effectiveness. Its tube required no rifling. Its sights consisted of wireframes. Its warhead used existing technology scaled from anti-tank grenades. This pragmatic approach, quintessentially American, produced a weapon that worked well enough, could be manufactured quickly, and gave ordinary soldiers extraordinary capability. German tankers recognized these qualities even while suffering from them. Lieutenant Hans Weber, captured in France in August 1944, told interrogators directly, "Your bazooka is not elegant. It is not precise. But it is practical, and you made enough to equip every squad. Our Panzerschreck is technically superior, but we never had sufficient numbers. Your doctrine gave every infantryman anti-tank capability. Our doctrine concentrated heavy weapons at battalion level. You democratized tank killing while we maintained specialist systems. This philosophical difference, multiplied across thousands of tactical engagements, tilted battles in your favor. Post-war assessments from former German tank commanders offered perspectives freed from wartime propaganda. Oberst Müller, who commanded panzers from Poland through Germany's final collapse, wrote in memoirs published in 1958, "Of all American weapon systems we faced, from Sherman tanks to P-47 fighters to M1 rifles, the bazooka caused the most tactical adaptation. It forced us to fight infantry differently. It eliminated relative safety that tank armor provided in earlier campaigns. It made every engagement potentially lethal regardless of whether enemy armor was present. More than any single weapon, it represented the shift from warfare dominated by armored maneuver to warfare where infantry, properly equipped with portable anti-tank weapons, could control terrain against mechanized forces. The bazooka's legacy extended far beyond 1945. Post-war anti-tank systems from Soviet RPGs to modern missiles trace conceptual lineage to the M1. The principle of giving individual soldiers armor-killing capability became fundamental to infantry doctrine worldwide. Germany's Panzerfaust and Panzerschreck, developed responding to captured bazookas, influenced post-war German military thinking when the Bundeswehr reformed in the 1950s. The weapon that surprised German tankers in Tunisia became the template for 70 years of infantry anti-tank warfare. For German tank crews experiencing the bazooka's introduction, the weapon represented not just tactical challenge but symbolic defeat. They had entered the war as elite warriors, masters of Earth's most technologically advanced fighting vehicles. They finished vulnerable to teenage American conscripts with crude tube launchers. This inversion of technological hierarchy, multiplied across countless engagements, contributed to larger realization of Germany's inevitable defeat. If America could develop, produce and field revolutionary weapons in months while Germany struggled maintaining production of existing systems, the industrial and innovative disparities spoke to broader strategic impossibility. Final accounting tells its own story. America produced approximately 476,000 bazookas during the war at minimal cost. Germany lost approximately 30,000 tanks and assault guns on all fronts from 1939 through 1945, with Western Front losses concentrated in the final year when American bazooka use peaked. While direct causation proves impossible, the correlation remains striking. Inexpensive infantry weapons destroyed vehicles requiring thousands of man-hours to produce, highlighting asymmetric economics that doomed German war efforts. German tank crews never imagined American industry would give every infantryman capability to defeat their armor. They trained to fight enemy tanks, respect enemy artillery, and maneuver around enemy anti-tank guns. They did not train to fear individual soldiers in foxholes with pipe-shaped tubes. That failure of imagination, combined with American innovation and industrial capacity, helped write the ending to their war. The psychological transformation from invincible panzer warriors to cautious operators, scanning every shadow for the next rocket launch, mirrored Germany's broader transition from confident aggressor to desperate defender. The bazooka alone did not win the war, but it symbolized American capacity to identify problems and rapidly deploy solutions that shifted tactical calculations, one engagement at a time, until the mathematics of victory became undeniable.